Hey, what's going on everyone? Justin here, and in this video I want to share literally every single book that I could possibly use off my shelves for quarter 3 of Historathon 2024. For those who don't know what Historathon is, it's a year-long kind of reading initiative created by Vin over at Revenant Reads and a bunch of other co-hosts. I'll leave their links down below. But yeah, it's just all about reading history over like the whole year and everything. And it's broken up into quarters, and quarter 3, which is July, August, and September, is all about the years kind of 1500-ish to 1820, which has gotta be my weakest area in history by far because of all my books. I literally gathered every single one that fits the criteria pretty good. And it's literally 10 books out of like, what, 30 shelves or whatever. Yeah, just not my like forte per se, but let's just go ahead and get started. But I'm definitely gonna be looking for Rex. I've been scouring the Discord. If you do use Discord, they got a pretty active one, I think with about 200 members and stuff, so definitely check that out if that's your thing. So I've been asking for Rex there. I'm going to ask you guys for Rex because I don't have a whole lot of good ideas here, but let's just get started. So I got 2 very short introductions that are dealing kind of with the time period. First up, we got The French Revolution by William Doyle. I read some stuff on Napoleon, and obviously we all learn the French Revolution in history in like high school and stuff. I don't really know a lot of the, I could probably give you like kind of the bare bones outlines, but yeah, like I don't really know a whole lot about like, Robespierre, really like the terrors and stuff, what was really going on behind the scenes and everything. So I'm hoping maybe this one might give me like kind of like a sense of direction, maybe some like resources on like other books on like how to look into some of the, I guess, topics a little bit further. And then my other one is The Habsburg Empire by Martin Rady, and this technically would go a little bit beyond 1820, a little bit before 1500 and everything, but kind of the heyday. It's kind of like during that time period and everything where they're kind of pretty much running the continent. They have Mexico, they got all kinds of stuff in the New World too as well at one point in time. So yeah, it's just kind of crazy. But I don't know like a whole lot about like, I know a lot about the end because I read a lot of World War I history, so I know a lot about like kind of the failure and kind of like dissolution of the Habsburgs and stuff, the last couple generations there. But I have no real like even concept of like the origins or beginning of the Habsburgs, and not a whole lot like once you get out of the medieval period, like once you're into like the 1600s and stuff, it's just murky gray darkness for me there. So hopefully this will fill in some gaps in my knowledge base there as well. And then I found 2 of my Osprey publishing books that fit the era pretty good. So the first one I mentioned in my TBR for this month, and it's Pirate the Golden Age. So it's just got a bunch of really cool different plates. This one is in the, what's this one? The Warrior series. This one's got a bunch of really cool accurate plates and illustrations and stuff on like what pirates actually look like, what did they actually do, what did they use for, arms and armament, things like that. What was it like, living on a pirate ship and that kind of thing. So it's pretty standard and everything. The next one is Highland Clansmen, 1689 to 1746. Like, I don't even know why those years are so specific. Like, I don't know, when to show like my ignorance of like Scottish history. Apparently there, I assume Culloden must have been like somewhere around this time period and everything. But it's kind of the same thing. It's going to be all about, what did they actually, wear and use, and how did they fight, and everything like that. And like I said, these are the only 2 I had out about like 30 or something that kind of fit the years that we're talking about here. A lot of my stuff really is like ancient and classical for sure. I don't even know where I got this one in particular, to be honest. I think it came in like a group and like kind of an eBay like lot buy or something like that, and as you can see, I have not looked into it. So now let's go into like some actual books, I suppose. We got The Sinner's Grand Tour, A Journey Through the Historical Underbelly of Europe by Tony Peritet. I read his Naked Olympics several years ago, and I enjoyed it, so I think I picked this up a little bit afterwards. But the Grand Tour, for those who don't know what that is when kind of rich aristocrats during like the 1700s and 1800s would go tour Europe, kind of looking at like kind of the fancy locations and the historical ruins and all that kind of stuff. But apparently there was a lot of a lot of darker stuff kind of going on as well. Let me just read a little blurb on the back here. So, sex and travel have always been intertwined, and never more so than on the classic Grand Tour of Europe in the 18th and 19th centuries. Today, the continent is still littered with salacious remnants of that golden age, where secret boudoirs, notorious dungeons, and forbidden artifacts lured travelers all the way from London to Capri. So yeah, I think it's gonna be kind of a fun. It's not necessarily like a parody, but it's definitely like a humorous take on like kind of like, you know, a real serious like thing that like I said, a lot of the aristocrats kind of like just sort of did when they didn't have anything to do to kind of make themselves seem more learned and respectable and stuff. But I think this is gonna be just like a really funny lens to kind of look at that kind of event kind of going on there. Next up, we have another actual pirate book, which is on my TBR for this month as well, which is Why We Love Pirates: The Hunt for Captain Kidd and How He Changed Piracy Forever by Rebecca Simon. So this is going to be a reread for me. It is the best pirate book I've read. Like, I read 3 or 4 just really not great pirate books for whatever reason, and this was like the only one that kind of like was above average in my opinion. But the Captain Kidd is definitely the main character in this one rather than someone like Blackbeard. What's interesting about him is like there's a giant trial before his execution, just because there is a lot of debate sort of on like what was really kind of going down before he kind of went pirating and took on like I guess a foreign vessel and stuff, even though he had like, you know, letters of marque and everything. But anyways, like I said, pirates fit the time period really well, and I kind of, like I said, if you got any pirate recommendations, leave me that comment down below as well. I feel like that really should have like lots and lots of good books, and I don't know why. I just haven't been able to find any. Next up, we got Thoreau's Axe, Distraction and Discipline in American Culture by Caleb Smith. This is all about, apparently in the 1800s, a lot of people would be really shocked if they came today, but a lot of people in the 1800s in the United States were very concerned with how distracted people got and just like couldn't focus and like, you know, just keep attention on like important things and stuff. So I kind of like to imagine how they would feel like today with all the signs, all the commercials, all the cell phones, everything like that. And apparently there was like some movements to like instill like self-discipline and stay focused and more grounded and this and that and sort of the other thing. So what the author does is he takes a bunch of different primary sources that kind of go, whether it's like famous preachers doing like sermons on them, you know, Thoreau's like Walden is in there, different things, and he kind of provides a kind of like an analysis or commentary on like each of the sources and how it kind of fits into the broader picture. I just thought it was kind of like a really interesting, kind of have like that weird like kind of, you know, American work ethic thing kind of going on, but like it's just the whole concept of like in the 1800s people being too distracted by other things kind of going on. Just such a weird, I guess, just a weird parallel with like today's time. So that's why I picked this one up, and maybe I'll get to it. Next up, we have Sacred Foundations, The Religious and Medieval Roots of the European State by Anna, oh gosh, Gerzamala Bussi, I think, something. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad. This is all about how the medieval period, like the different conflicts, particularly with the papal states and the church and everything, the Catholic Church, was really what laid the groundwork to kind of lay the foundations for the upcoming nation states that sort of came arise in the following centuries. And it was sort of how the, like I said, the church with a capital C was kind of like a really strong kind of absolute power. Though I guess my thought, like all my other history reading, I always thought like kind of like after the 1300s, it was kind of like on the decline and on the wane and stuff. But it's just the fact that they were a very kind of, I guess, very consolidated state, whereas a lot of the other powers that be were not. And it just, they had to like kind of focus and centralize to kind of combat fighting the church on a bunch of different matters. And that's kind of how, like I said, a bunch of like nation states sort of got their founding and everything. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's see. Let's see. Sacred Foundation reveals how the challenge, an example of a powerful religious authority, gave rise to secular state institutions and galvanized state capacity. So anyways, I just thought it was kind of interesting. Like it was kind of on the time period that I don't read a whole lot about. I don't even really pick this one up either, but I found it on this shelf, so apparently I did at some point. Lastly, we got two kind of more popular history books. We got Lords of the Horizons, A History of the Ottoman Empire by Jason Goodwin. And I did pick this one up at a library sale one time just because I've read a lot on certain portions of the Ottoman Empire, but I've never read just like a book straight up on you know, whole history of the Ottomans. But there's a lot of really cool figures, like such as like, you know, Suleiman the Magnificent and stuff. And obviously with like some of the medieval reading, you know, you always read about, you know, 1453 and the fall of Constantinople, things like that. And then with my World War I readings, you know, the Ottomans are kind of, you know, on their death throes, you know, known as like the sick man of Europe and everything. But kind of like in that heyday, in, you know, the 1500s to like, you know, 1700s, I just don't know like a whole lot about it. So I figured this one would also be, I feel like a lot of these books are really just filling in like all my, like, just like my pitiful gaps in like my general knowledge base and stuff. But anyways, like I said, I think it'd just be kind of good to read like a book just on the Ottomans from like kind of end to end. And then lastly is a book that I think gets shown quite a bit, even on like the History Discord. We were just talking about that like a little bit not too long ago. It's David McCullough's 1776. Apparently this won at the Pulitzer Prize. I've never read any of his works, I'm not gonna lie. He writes a lot on, apparently he's won two Pulitzers plus a whole slew of other awards. So he must write pretty well, and I've heard really good things about like this one, the Pioneers one. He's got one on like the Johnstown flood, and I think John Adams like won a Pulitzer and everything like that. I just don't read a whole lot of American history and that sort of thing, so that's why I've just never gotten around to it. But I figure, you know, why, if I'm going to read something on American history, it might as well be, you know, the Revolutionary War and that sort of thing. So, anyways, picked up 1776. So there you have it. That's literally every book on my shelves dealing with the years 1500 to 1820. I know it's not very many. Like I said, I'm always on the lookout for recommendations, and this is what I desperately need some help in. So anyways, I hope you all enjoyed it. Which one of these 10 would you read first, or do you think I should read first to get it out of the way and get kickstarted on this? Let me know in the comments down below. And whether you're reading anything on the time period involved or not, always remember, read victoriously.